So recently I was just watching it's just like recent dust up after BGS's hangout on Saturday, and the basic premise of this, I think I'm gonna start switching up the way I do some of these videos just to kind of get my point across, or my put the whole thing out there. But first I'll say the subject. So the subject matter is stepping back and assessing the situation. Analyze before acting. Recently there's kind of like there's been a divide or split for a while. It made me step back off of YouTube a little bit because I just kind of got bored of the subject matter, and of course, and usually I'll step back for like a week or two, but then it got elongated because of the a longer, I guess, a longer period of stepping away from it all, simply because of the salon and other things that I'm doing, and just trying to get all my stuff, all my ducks in a row. But I come back and I've been here, like, watching some of the videos from BGS and some of the others, but now I'm starting to get back to where it's like, all right, cool, I'm catching the stuff live as it's happening and not the recorded stuff. And I'm almost like, hey, stop. Like, it hasn't really changed that much, like there hasn't been much of a difference. And I understand it, like this is a very hot topic in the sense that, or it's a topic that men, women, people don't want to let go, because it actually means a lot to them, in the sense that it's caused either pain, hurt, anguish. They see it as a source of a problem, an issue that they need to fix, or that needs to be fixed before we can move on to anything else. And I do understand that. You got one side that says, hey, listen, we should let go of we should separate ourselves from those that are, those that are, how can I paraphrase or sum this up? Those that are, I guess, your thugs, your pookies, your Ray Rays, what some people would say, or how they would describe them. Those that are dysfunctional within the black community, and then separate them for those that are not dysfunctional in the black community. And I actually understand both sides. I try not to take an extreme point. I will play the contrarian in conversations. So if you take Pookie's side, I will take as they call it, the educated lame, or those people that are not the nerds, the ones that are isolated, the ones that feel left out, the ones on the outside looking in, that are thinking out of the box, that are a little bit different. And if you're talking about being a full-on nerd and separating yourself from the community, I will talk from, not say the Pookie and Ray Ray, but that we should find a way to include everyone. Because I understand both sides, and I want people to understand both sides. That's kind of what I do usually, and I noticed that about myself. I didn't do that because I wanted to when I first started doing that. It's just something I noticed, and I was like, I really do play both sides on this. And what I have to say about it is, step back. Look at both sides. Look at the points that they're making. Pookie and Ray Ray are saying, or some people that are of the Pookie and Ray Ray mindset are saying that, hey, you guys all have dysfunction in you, and you should not try and separate yourself, or you should not try and think of yourself as other or above. You should try to find some way that you can be a part of the group and be a functioning member that will benefit both sides and benefit all sides. And then you have the educated lames, classic men, businessmen, thinking brothers, what have you, MGTOW, black MGTOW. I wouldn't say it more, but yeah, no, I wouldn't say it more, because that wouldn't be a proper classification, or they wouldn't be totally a part of that group because of their belief structure. But they're like, well, no, when I did try to be a part of it, I was annexed, And when I do try to make any type of improvements or infuse some of my resources, or give my resources, I should say, it may be, I may be shunned for it, or it may not be good enough, or it may just be wasted. Or, you know, some people are like, hey, listen, we still got to do it no matter what. It is what it is. Hopefully the changes that I'm making will eventually reach the right person. So you're seeing a lot of that, and excuse me for my bias, but that's how I look at things. If I'm not giving you the whole picture, or if I'm leaving something out, say it in the comment section. And the best thing I could say is step back. Look at the situation for what it is. Understand that there's that both sides have good points. If they're saying, hey, Pookie and Ray Ray, even if we're dysfunctional, we still are your people, and you can rise no higher than your people, there is truth to that. You can't really rise higher than your people. If you look at a musical artist, Big Crit, K-R-I-T, if you haven't heard of him, look him up. But Big Crit, he had a song called, I think it was Just Another Nigga. And no matter what, no matter how you look at the black man, the overall society, or dominant society, white society, will look at you as just another nigga. Doesn't matter if you're a doctor or what have you. If I walk, I mean, if you see me, you know, like, my hair is usually all messed up and all over the place, and my beard's not ever taken care of, and I'm probably not even in frame here. But if you see me, I would look like just another nigga, even though I make like a substantial amount, and I have investments, and I work with people that have, you know, I work on computers, and I work with customers that have 7 to 8 figure bank accounts, and in some cases 9 figure bank accounts, and, you know, have all types of resources, and you know, I'm working in high-rise buildings that customer owns, things like that, and I'm working directly with the customers, not their liaisons or anything like that. I'm going to their house, their multi-million-dollar house, all that stuff, right? But I would look, for all intents and purposes, or sorry, not in all intents and purposes, but for all stereotypes and tropes, I would look like just another nigga. And that's a problem. That's why I understand both sides of it, because I am that educated lame, that educated brother that would look like just another nigga. I go out to the strip clubs. I indulge myself in the debaucheries. I hang with my business partners. Some of them are Pookies and Ray Rays. You know, one of my business partners is Latin, but, you know, cool dude and all that. But, you know, it's like I deal with all these people. You know, and like even him, my Latin business partner, people he comes from, like he was like, yo, listen, my mom is poor. My mom was dirt poor, so on and so forth. So he knows what it's like to be in the hood. He stayed in Jamaica longer than I have. You know, he had dreads and all that other stuff too when he was a little bit younger. Cool dude, real cool dude, down to earth. But I understand the both sides of the dynamics, and I think BGS said it well, that too many people are embracing their awkwardness, myself included. And when I say awkwardness, in my case, I mean the hermit-like mindset that I have, where, hey, listen, if something happens and I feel a certain way, I will not run away from it, but I find myself finding comfort or retreating in times mentally. Whether I could just deal with the same thing every day, but mentally I might retreat to an isolationist or hermit-like state, where it's like, all right, cool, I'm not really going to go anywhere. You know, I have my cycles, like the last video, or the video I talked about where I was talking about stripper cycles. And I understand that. You know, I have to work with these people. I have to work with the Pookies and Ray Rays. You know, I have to work with one of my business partners that's done, like, you know, a couple 17 years in the Fed penitentiary, not the club. You know what I mean? So I had to work with that. It's not a claim to fame. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's just something I look at, and I work with these people. I work with the people that are nerds. I am the nerd in that situation. And me and him are cool. Like, we'll talk, And we out there, like, we cracking jokes and shit like that, going back and forth, and then we cut the business. And, like, he respects me for that. I respect him for where he came from and what he built. Because he's doing some shit, even with all the things that are a problem for him, or that would pose a problem for a lot of these black men, he still overcame it, and he's at a place higher than me, or a place that I want to attain higher than me, and he came from, you know, being that goon. And that's why it's like, you know, I say, step back. Wait a minute, look at my feet. Step back and assess the situation. Look at it for what it is. It's not a white speed bump. It's a black speed bump in white face. You know, like, look at it a little bit deeper. Underneath that, underneath the chips and the paint and such and the armor, there's cracks to it. Like, understand that there's a little bit of history, there's a character to it, and there's character to this conversation. And I think people don't understand that, and they, you know, I do think BGS is right in the sense that where he said that, hey, we all embracing awkwardness, or even embracing the Pookie and Ray Rays, is an issue, because what it is you're moving from either to the extreme left or extreme right, and you could place Pookie and Ray Ray or Extricated Lame on either side of that. Doesn't matter. I mean, it could have a freaking Y-axis to it as well, or Y-axis to it. That's the nerd coming out. But it can have any number of axes, and but it still remains the same, that you want to be, in a sense, centered. Out of those, like, those two axes and they meet at a point, you want to be in the center. You know, you want to be able to look at these things from both sides. And I think people have to step back and assess when they're going through all of this and say that, hey, listen, I won't save you, but I'll help you any which way I can. But I'm going to have to love you from afar. Dollar Will brought that up a while back. And he says, listen, I'm just going to have to love you niggas from afar. I love it, because I love Dollar Will, the way he comes, he comes, comes off, and he starts to say these certain sayings, and then of course his mind state when it comes to trading and such. There's just a lot of knowledge there, and I hope he does come out with more videos. But you know, just the way, the smoothness of that line, because it's not his, he got it from someplace else, and I don't know, I forgot where, but he did quote it at one point. But it's like, the smoothness of that line is the fact that, hey, listen, the person doesn't say, I'm a stop loving you, talking to you. They say, I'm just going to have to do it from afar. I can't be over there, right there, be close to y'all. I'm going to have to be over here. I'm going to have to do it from afar. And you may have to do that, depending on how you want to play it. But I think you have to be somewhat of a centered individual. And the person over there by that stop sign, that could be Pookie, or that could be the Educated Lame. That could be anybody. Really. It could be anybody. But either way, you as a person may have to just stay over here and love them from afar. You know, there's a cat. Okay. You may have to stay away and just love them from afar. And I think it's important that we try to move towards or embrace a center. Because if we don't, we might find ourselves, in a sense, on the wrong side, or a side that's going to be detrimental to our mental, financial, and physical well-being, health, what have you. You stick around with enough Pookies and Ray Rays, everybody's talk. I never really knew about this guy, Zach TV. But you stick around enough Pookies and Ray Rays and thugs, you might get shot coming from an interview, or just be in that city and you a op. You know what I mean? Or if you stick around too much of, you start to say, hey, listen, I'm gonna mess with mostly the going to mess with mostly the white people. I'm just going to be that nerd, the educated lame, and, you know, my black people don't love me, and, you know, they celebrate a person's release from jail and incarceration, but my graduation, we can't find the money to even get me a cake, you know, and my white friends wouldn't do that, and you know, things like that. And you might find yourself in the wrong spot when shit really goes down, and you want your black people to support you, but they ain't there for you because you wasn't supporting them or you wasn't with them. And that's a problem. That's a serious problem. And I think that's something that we all have to look at, assess the situation, and step back. Thank you.